So I was talking to my good work friend and I said, girl, this is like a murder mystery.
Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. Welcome back, folks. This is episode 115. It's about
Yeah,
payroll. We're rolling along. We have an amazing guest today. But before that, how you doing, Walt?
I'm doing good, bro. I appreciate you, man, and just in a state of try to keep my joy and stay grateful in
That's right.
today's society, man. There's a lot of people going through stuff. I always say that. So if you're listening today, make sure you give yourself some grace. Give other people grace as well. Go out there and try to make the world a better place. Take one step at a time, and just keep trying it. That's how I'm at. That's the kind of energy I'm on today, man. How about you?
I'm chilling, man. The same thing you said, give people grace. It's interesting because I've been watching. One of my favorite shows is The Shy. I don't know if you guys watch The Shy, and some characters were talking about that, giving each other grace. And I heard this. I keep hearing it somewhere, and I'm like, let me find out. People listening to the show is a fan of Walter talking about giving people grace. Let me
Hey, I'm not the
find
only
out.
one. I'm not the only one giving people grace, man. That's good
Look, you
that
the
more
first
people are
person
on
that
that.
I ever heard use that phrase, and that I understand the concept of it. But using that phrase, you're the first person I've ever heard say it. So I'm like, let me find out what got a fan base out there going on.
Man, we got a small fan base, but I appreciate that, man. But I just feel like we all could give people grace, and
Yeah,
nobody's perfect, man. I've made mistakes. I've messed up. I've hurt people. I've done stuff at the work that I shouldn't have done, and I needed grace at the time, and I still need grace to this day.
every day, all of us do.
So, man, so
That's right. All right, y'all. Let's get into our pay news updates before we get into our guest. So, what do you got for us today, Walt, on pay news?
got a quick article. I think it's an interesting read. It happened. About another cyber attack. Go
Oh,
figure. That
yep.
happened in May of this year.
Okay.
The Ministry of Defense in the UK had a significant breach that exposed personal information of current and former members of the armed forces, including the Royal Navy, the Royal Army, and the Royal. The leaked data was described as personal HMRC style information, included names and bank details from the payroll system of an external contractor. I'm going to go into some stuff about that really quick. The
Yeah.
location of the attack, as I spoke to earlier, happened in the UK and impacted multiple members of the armed forces there. The nature of the breach, it leaked information, like I said, of personal details and banking info from the payroll system, and the compromised system was managed by an external contractor. So this is like the second case that we've seen that there was like a third party vendor or something involved
Yes.
that was
Yep.
hacked in and stuff like that.
Because they're
So I find
backdooring
it,
things. Yep.
yes. So number three, the response and investigation, right? So the Ministry of Defense, MOD, notified all the individuals or is in the process of notifying all the individuals. It was a multi-point response plan that was being prepared, and the payroll system as a result was taken offline for an investigation. So whatever payroll system was shut down completely because of this hack. The culprit, the potential culprit, they don't know who did it, but they won't specify. They did warn against the cyber espionage risk. There are some reports out there that say China is under suspicion, though China has denied any involvement in this.
Of
So,
course.
yeah, that's the new warfare nowadays. Yes, there's still war going on, but cyber attacks, countries cyber attack each other all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
And the breach is a part of a broader trend of increasing cyber attacks on payroll systems, highlighting the ongoing vulnerability of sensitive data, that PII data,
Yep.
within public and private sectors. So if you're listening to this and you use a third party provider or third party payroll person that's doing some work for you, you might want to make sure that you have the back end of your stuff sewn up so you're not getting worked
Yeah.
around by anything.
Yep.
So that's all I had, man.
It's like this. It's like we said when we covered the last time. It's like not don't. not only do you have to make sure that your stuff is secure, you have to make sure all your integration partners or integrated partners are secured,
Hmm.
right? You got to hold them to a higher standard as well, because if their stuff isn't encrypted and secured, then they could possibly backdoor into yours. So a lot of stuff to be considered when it comes to cybersecurity, man. It's just really important that we
It's
cover
crazy,
that.
man.
Yeah.
Yep. What you
Yeah.
got?
So Pete Tiliakos has done an amazing job, and we were actually part of this. I don't know if you remember doing the survey, but we were part of this survey. They did a Payroll Profession Confidence Index, and Pete Tiliakos works over at 360 in a 360 Insights, and I've
Hmm.
put the link in the show notes to go look at the full report. And I just wanted to share a little bit. The report is long, and it's a nice thing to keep revisiting and keep sharing these things, the insights from the report, because some of them are a little eye-opening and or telling, or just, oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Great information. So let's see, I'm going to run through some stats. So he says, as it concerns the state of payroll operations, 12%, only 12%, not only, but 12% of payroll operations are functioning in a transformed state, meaning they've
Hmm.
transformed right to a new state. 51% feel that they're unfit to support the strategic direction of the company. That's a big
Wow.
number,
That
right?
is that's big.
51% of payroll folks surveyed feel that they're unfit to support the strategic direction. That's a big, as a leader, you want to know that, because you need payroll. Payroll is 50% of your revenue, of a company's
Yep.
gross revenue. You have to address, you have to make sure that your payroll department is tight. 34% are currently delivering a high level of strategic impact value. Awesome. 74% lack confidence that their orgs are doing enough to unlock the full strategy impacting value from their payroll ops. Right? So they, hey, maybe they are working to that strategic direction, but not as much as they could be. These are telling things, folks. And this survey was done with payroll professionals. It's not like asking the CFO or asking a leader that's disconnected from the process. Pete did this with payroll. Again, me and Walt were part of this. Let's see, what are some other good ones? Strength of partnership. It has a grid here where, what are our biggest partner? Basically, it translates to me as, where are our biggest partners? Number one, HR. Number two, finance. And that makes sense because payroll
Yep.
usually reports to one of those
Either one of
domains,
those.
right?
Yep.
The number three, and yeah, tied, number three, IT makes sense. Other is tied for number three is other and legal. HR seems tied also with that number one spot. And then at the end is business operations and executive leadership being the last one. And that's telling, that loops back to the whole 51% underutilization or unfit to support strategic direction. Because guess what? You're not
Wow.
partnering well, or we're not partnering well with executive leadership. And that's not because of payroll. It's because
Yeah.
what did someone said recently? Folks don't think, they think it's just data entry. So these
Yep.
are some
You're right.
telling, right? It's just telling
Good stuff, man. This
information,
is
right?
good information you're
I'll
giving,
give
bro.
you one more thing and then we can wrap it up. But the top investments sought, meaning these are what payroll folks are looking for, to be like, these are payroll folks saying, hey, we need investment and here's where we need it. Top five
Yeah.
investments sought: education and training. Number one,
Yep.
right? We say that all the time. Number two, championing payroll as a center of excellence.
Wow. Yep.
Number three, skilled talent. That's,
Skill, talent.
yep, skilled talent. That's a good one,
Ooh.
because not, yeah,
Hmm.
I
You
get
can
it.
have talent, but not be skilled.
Yep, yep. Number four, transformation and change.
Yeah.
And the
That's
number
big.
five is cloud technology.
Okay. I like
Wh-
that, man. That's great
Yeah.
stuff, bro.
And
Great stuff.
dude, this is one slide of I don't know, we probably got, what is it, 33 slides in this deck. So I just went over one. It's such a tremendous amount of good information here. I'm going to make
Shout
a
out to Pete.
point. Yeah, shout out to Pete and Julie over at a Payroll and HR Podcast 2.0. Hopefully we'll be partnering with them soon and doing a swap cast and having a conversation with them, having some fun
Yeah.
about and talking about payroll with them. But yeah, again, I'm going to make it a point to keep revisiting this survey. It's
Yep.
out there. The link is in show notes. It's free. Go check it out. Go get it and go read through it because as a payroll professional, these are some great insights. So thanks, Pete, for doing that and sharing that with us. And
And
that's it.
before we get to the
Our
main
guest.
topic and introduce our guests, we got a word from our wonderful sponsors at Time
Absolutely.
Track Go.
Yeah. Shout out to Time Track Go and our sponsors who are reminding us that effective July 1, the threshold for salaried employees is being raised. Now,
Hmm.
what does that mean for payroll professionals? We always become part of this conversation. Your organization has probably already asked you for reports on where are people falling and evaluating this, whether you need to do it or not. As a payroll professional, if you haven't spoken about it already or looked at it already, go ahead and look at your employee workforce and your salaried employees specifically. They're raising the
Yes.
threshold, and what's going to happen? They're either going to get a raise or millions of employees will now become overtime eligible.
Yep. And so as a result of that, those millions of employees are probably going to now be required to track their time and attendance.
Yep.
So whether you're new to time tracking or you're looking to make a change, consider Time Track Code because they provide a simply better solution that can have you up and running in a matter of minutes. So if you follow the link in our episode notes, then you can also get your first month free. So don't miss out. Take advantage of this amazing special offer. Use the link in the show notes to start your 14-day trial in the month of June to qualify for that first month free. And again, if you want to learn more, you can go to www.timetrackgo.com. That's TIMETRAK go.com. Or you can call 888-321-9922. Let's go.
Let's go. Look,
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into our guest, man. Go ahead and give Brittany an intro.
The great, the one of a kind, Brittany Furr. She's a seasoned payroll pro and a continuous improvement advocate who's also known for her innovative contributions as a Udemy content creator, right? She's passionate about AI prompt writing, which is big.
Mm,
And I think a lot of us could learn from her example. So check Brittany out on LinkedIn. She's really big on payroll innovation. She's dedicated to revolutionizing the payroll process out there and enhancing efficiency through cutting edge solutions. Welcome our guest, Brittany Furr.
welcome,
Hey,
Brittany. How
hey,
you
it's me,
doing?
your favorite payroll person.
That's right.
Thanks for the
Yeah,
intro, guys, and having me on the show.
of course.
Absolutely. It's our honor. Like when Walt hit me he sent me this, like, it was like the game, and we're going to talk about the game, but it's something about payroll mystery game, and please frame it better for us. But I was like,
Hmm.
what? When I first saw the text, I was like, did Walt come up with this? And I'm not reading it. I'm like, wait a minute, somebody came up with this. Somebody's out there being creative with payroll like this. So please, one, tell us, of course, your origin story. We love our payroll origin stories. So tell us how you got into payroll.
So, I actually have been in the staffing, HR, payroll realm for 10
Okay.
years, a decade.
Oh, oh,
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
my company is pretty big in staffing, and I like
Okay.
to say that I've toured the whole company. I've been in all the lines
I
of
like it.
business. I've done a lot of different roles, and so right now the space I'm in is payroll overpayment recovery,
Oh,
which is
wow.
very
Mm,
interesting. And it
Hmm.
fit hand in hand with the game I created, and it fit hand in hand with forensic accounting, which I
Yep.
enjoy. My origin story isn't that of a villain type. I just started off as a temp in the industry doing garnishment, and I stayed with the company. They hired me on, and here I am today.
Oh, wow.
wow.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. So
I
so
love
you
it.
kind of so you kind of what appealed to you about payroll? So it sounds like you worked in different realms, like you said.
Oh,
But
I
what about
love the
payroll?
the word problem of it all. Payroll is
Okay.
a big word problem to me. When people come with their issues,
Interesting.
it's a wild time. So they'll be like, "Oh, well, I filled out my W-4 wrong, and I put 8 dependents on there, and then I wanted to file exempt, and then I wanted to file exempt on the
Yep.
state." And it's just the story of people and trying to figure out what are they trying to accomplish with their paychecks. The
Yeah.
story behind garnishment too, how people get tax levies and other
Mm-hmm.
creditor garnishments, and of course we hear about child support, but it's other things that's involved in garnishment. So I love
That's
the
right.
mystery, trying to figure out like in here.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one
Okay.
of my favorite things too, is to do the investigation of it all and
Yeah.
dig behind. Because you're right, it's such an amazing way to put it, the word problem of it all. Because I love that. Hey, my check is off, right? And
Hmm.
then it's why, and then I get
Right.
to go dig in and figure out why or something like that. So I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's the
then,
first time I've ever heard anybody
yes,
articulate it in that way. So
yes,
I find it because
yes.
usually when it comes to payroll, you automatically go to math
Matt, the
and or
numbers. That's right.
science and some of it, right?
Mm-mm.
That's
So that
right.
that's very interesting. I like that.
People often tell me, "Oh, you're in payroll. You must be good at numbers." And I'm like, Only in
Yes.
Excel." You know what I mean? Because Walt is better with it in his head than I am. Because you tell him numbers, he's busting out percentages, and this is 3/3 of 1/3 of 4/3. Like what? No,
Like
I
what?
need Excel.
Yes.
But yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so then perfect segue. How did you come up with this game? Tell us the game. You have a game. You've named it. What's the name of it? How'd you come up with it?
It's
Okay,
awesome,
so
by the way, folks. Sorry to jump in here, but
right
it's
now the
awesome.
name, and it's going to be changing because I've worked on it some
Okay.
more since I've sent it
Okay.
to Walt, but it's called Payroll Murder Mystery. And
Ooh.
how this game started is maybe about 3 weeks before my maternity leave, my director pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, I have this opportunity in payroll overpayment. Would you like to take it?" And I'm like, "Wow, okay, sure." I took it on the spot. And so she gave
Nice.
me all this material, and she was like, "I know you're going on maternity leave, but I want you to come back and really hit the ground running." So I read the manual, I looked at the SWPs, I'm on payroll
What's that?
org,
What's SWP?
standard of work process.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'm on payroll org trying to see like what are people saying about overpayments and stuff. And so I was talking to my good work friend and I said, "Girl, this is like a murder mystery. This is wild. All the back and forth and passing the baton and then it comes back." And that's how it started. And because I was on maternity leave and I wanted to stay close to my work, I
Hmm.
created the game. I'm a creative by nature. I just created the game and it gave me fulfillment and it kept me close to the work. So when I came back from maternity leave, I already had a passion for the department.
Wow. Can you give? Is there a brief way to say how the game works? How do you play it? Walk us through something.
I guess the way I set it up is similar to Clue with a little bit
Okay.
of Masked Singer involved. I don't know how many
Okay.
people watch that show. So on Masked Singer, they give you little hints and clues about who they could possibly be, right? And so
Hmm.
with that, I have suspect cards and I tell you what
Hmm.
you will say as a suspect, what's your alibi, what's your background story, and you read those cards and those responses in the different rounds. And then the other players of the game, they are detectives or investigators, and they get to
Okay.
ask the questions, certain questions in certain rounds you can ask.
Hmm.
And you're trying to figure out who did it, what department were they in, and the motive behind it.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's amazing, man. The deck that she sent us is very detailed, very laid out, very descriptive. I'm excited to see what changes you made to it
Oh,
to
it's
enhance it
big,
more.
Walt. Oh my gosh.
It
My
is. Oh
husband,
wow.
he partnered me up with some of his gamer friends. So they
Uh huh.
Ooh.
introduced me to Tabletop Simulator. And they told me that it's similar to what I'm doing is like Dungeons and Dragons. And so I've been
Nice.
looking into that and it's really taken off. So once I put it on Desktop Simulator, I can actually submit this game to Hasbro because they go off of Desktop Simulator. So that's major. The
Wow,
energy
that
and
is
the
major.
time that
Oh
I put
my
into this can
gosh.
pay off.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Congrats on that. Gosh, what was my question? Oh, and this is a sidebar. I may edit some of this out or whatever, but
Okay.
like, would you be interested in trying to play it online, if that's even
Oh,
possible, like
yes,
through a
definitely. I
Zoom
want
or
it to
something like
be
that?
simulator because that does
But
give
what is that?
you.
Well, I'm sorry, what's Desktop
So,
Simulator?
Desktop Simulator is on Steam and it's a virtual game. It's almost similar to if you had the IVR headset. And
Okay.
so you get to
Mm.
go into Steam, sit down at a table with other players, but the the gag is you have to have a Steam account. And so I want to use Desktop Simulator, but I also want to keep it on the deck like how I sent Walt because
Okay.
I want to offer it for other payroll teams to
Yeah.
host, for me to come to their team and host and help them play the game and really just lighten the mood of payroll.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. Yeah, I would love to see if we could do it and make a show out of it and record and just edit it
Oh,
down to
that would
the
be so fun.
let's
That'd be
do it.
so
Let's do it.
cool.
To get it because we know enough people in payroll to invite some people and try to get them in. I'm with that. Let's do that. That's amazing. I love it. I love
I
it.
just had a game pop in my head that I want to try for you guys at the end of this. After we get through
Okay.
all my
We
questions.
got a
Okay.
game for you too.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So what's the next one? So let's see. What would you like to see more in payroll? Being you're so creative, you have so much thoughts about it. What are some of the things that you would like to see in payroll?
The payroll pain point for me is, I guess, the miseducation of the employee,
Yep.
and people just don't know about their check.
It's right
And
behind
they're none
Walter.
the
That's right. Yep.
wiser. They just don't
Yep.
know it. I
That's right.
really like what you guys are doing with the Paycheck podcast. People
Thank you.
need that. So before we
Yes.
transition to going global, people have to understand their check right now beyond completing a W-4,
That's right.
beyond putting their
Say
direct
Yep.
that.
deposit
Yep.
information in.
Yep.
And so
That part. Yep.
they just look at their paycheck as
I
income,
got my money.
but
Yep.
income verification, that's it.
There's
That's
there's
all
more.
I do
Yeah.
with my paycheck.
Look, how many, mind you, right? We've talked to a lot of professionals, right? We've been really blessed with talking to great professionals across other domains, HR, industries, whatever. We had an HR professional, senior level. He's a CHRO right now, and he's exaggerated, I'm sure, but I don't look at my pay stub. I just make sure my direct deposit hits. You know what I mean? And you make sure your amount is directionally right. And if you're a salaried employee, it's the same amount every time. And you're like, oh, I'm good. But there's so much more to it for the
Uh-huh.
employee to understand, right? He takes it for granted and we take it for granted because we know.
Yes.
But what's up?
I'll do one better for you because I know I told it on a couple of episodes
Yeah.
here, but I've known payroll pros earlier in my
Yes.
career that didn't
Yes.
even understand their pay stub.
Yep.
They were
Yep.
processing payroll. I know that sounds bad, but they didn't
Yeah.
understand.
But it's
It's
true
true.
because
Like,
they're an employee, right? And
Uh-huh.
see, and you bring up two things, Walt. One, it's true, like it's agnostic to any job. But two, that's the transition in payroll in the payroll career where you need to change. If you don't understand your own check as a payroll professional, that is the moment where you have to say to yourself, I need to elevate my job, right? I need to elevate
yeah,
myself in my profession because I should know what this is. And I've been developing this concept of the payroll glance. A payroll professional should be able to glance at a paycheck and tell you what the possible pain points could be, what the possible errors could be. Not that they should see the error, because it's not always that obvious,
hmm
but a good payroll professional should be able to look at a pay stub and say and break it down. Hey, this is your gross here, your earnings section. This is where some errors could be. Your deduction section. This is where some errors can be. Your tax
yeah,
I
section.
have two
This is where some errors
perspectives
can be.
on this,
Shoot,
Brian,
go for it.
because indoctrinate to say I'm not a tax professional. I can't tell you about your check. I can't tell you how to fill that out. And
Hmm.
so, with that being said, all your OGs in payroll will
That's
pop the
true.
hands of new people who try to come in and actually educate people about their check, and they'll say no, don't do that. It's happened to me where they say we
Hmm.
don't tell people how to fill out their check. We don't tell them how to make the numbers work for what they're trying to accomplish in their life. We don't do that.
Hmm.
Now you're actually seeing where people are like raising their hand and saying, help me, I want to know what my check
Yeah.
means, help me, I
Yeah.
want to talk to my payroll department and not be angry every time.
Yes.
And
No, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm finished. What were you gonna say?
No, that resonates with me, and thank you for saying that because I totally agree with what you just said, Brittany. Because I feel that it's an old, antiquated, the old school mindset, like you said. Okay, we're here to do a job, not to give them support in that way.
Yep.
But I think people, especially in today's economy, we have to be mindful that we're servicing people, that they're people first, right? They're not their paycheck, they're not their job, they're people first. And I think if more people had that outlook, payroll is people first, then I think that would maybe change some of the ways that things are done. But I
And
totally agree with you.
as we fade out the old leadership, the baby boomers of it all, we really get some people that understand the impact of payroll. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember being told early in my career when I said that I did payroll to somebody, he responded and said, that's a glorified data entry person. And I was just taken aback. Whoa. But payroll started that way. Payroll as the women with their bouffant hair typing in the numbers,
Yep.
looking at that punch card, typing in the numbers,
Yep.
and that's how
Yep.
payroll started. And so they
Yep.
still think that is the realm today of how it is, and it's so much more than that.
Absolutely. One of the things you said, you're absolutely right. We're classically trained not to give advice, and there's some legalities in there, sure. But Gerard Hall is actually the one who came on the show and put that battery in our back to start the It's About Your Paycheck podcast.
Mm,
Not so much, hey, you guys should start a podcast, but he challenged us. He was like, we need more customer service. And we were like, what does that
Mm-hmm.
mean? And we were like, employers do not help their employees understand their paycheck enough.
yeah,
That one statement is what helped us start the other podcast, because we were
yeah,
like, how do we service the employees of it all? And I've even my whole I was Brittany when we first started the show. I was like that. No, we don't tell you about your paycheck. We don't talk about your paycheck. Blah blah. But right. But now Gerard was like, why not? Why can't you help them?
yeah,
You can help them.
It's
We can
missing
help
in the
people.
onboarding. When you
Yes.
come to a company,
Yes.
they sit you down and tell you about benefits for 30 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
They're not
Yes.
going to tell you about your paycheck
Nope.
and how
Nope.
your pay stub is going to look. Maybe they'll mention when your direct deposit might hit. I'm from
yeah.
a time of where you
Payday.
had to
Yeah.
put in a hole and you weren't getting paid for it for a little bit.
Oh wow.
So they're just not talking about they're not talking about it. Gerard is right. We need customer service. Nobody has the time, and it's not because we're being snooty. There's so many other intricate details that we are doing in payroll, and
Yeah.
our job is of perfection. When it's right, we're doing our job, and when it's wrong, we've ruined everything. So we
Yes.
don't have time to do outbound calls or answer and get yelled at because we're affecting people's livelihood, like I said.
Yep.
So it's personal. They're talking to you like
Yes.
trash. You're getting verbally abused and stuff. So it's a tight space. But I did want to ask you guys, with Payroll University app, what if you transform that into like a simulation where people could see how the changes on their W-4 affected their paycheck? ADP has something similar. I maybe break it down to the lowest compound and make it more just tangible for regular employees.
That's
I
interesting
like it.
because that's something that I think we spoke to because we have a roadmap of different apps that we have built
Mm-hmm.
out and that we had something similar to that. So I find that very interesting that you just connected with that wavelength.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we do, but I think you're absolutely right, Brittany. I think that's something that we should invest more in the education piece of the employee. We should invest more in teaching them and helping people understand, hey, how does my pay work for me? I know I work to get paid, but how does it work for me? Right. So I absolutely agree with you. I hope I articulated that in a way that connected it there.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Brittany is doing her research here, as you can see. So not many people know that the entity behind all this is called Payroll Universe Inc.
Mm,
That's the company behind our podcast and our
yeah.
ventures. It's not in your view right now, but he has a sign up called PayQuest app. That's an app that we've been developing for a while. It is on the shelf right now. We have run into a development hitch where just we haven't found the right partners to help us continue development. We had two good teams along the way that really helped us get here, but it's a labor of love and it's out there. And Brittany would
Did you
like to
take
show you.
Bub?
That's where we first started. That's where
It's,
we went on Bubble and we just weren't smart enough to get it going. And we just had to bring in development help.
they do.
Now,
They
yeah,
market Bubble as like a low coding realm.
low code,
It
no
is a
code.
lot of manipulation. You could probably do a little bit of like a draft in Google
Hmm.
Apps. If you draft
Yeah.
in Google Apps, when you take it to Bubble, you don't have that team spending as much time hashing out a lot of details because they're charging you by the
Yes.
hour. So you
Yeah,
want to
Hmm.
have
Yeah,
all
exactly
your
right.
sure.
spreadsheets ready. Yeah. Out to them before, and I'm pretty detailed because I saw in the payroll org community that a lot of people wanted a standalone overpayment process. That while I was researching the game and just reading the chats and stuff. And so I thought that was interesting because a lot of the payroll software that we use is old, robust, and we have workarounds within our own teams
Yep.
just to continue to use it.
Yep.
And so people were on the forum saying, we wish we had a standalone place that we could do overpayment, collection, and processing because each state has its own rules
Yep.
and regulations. And then
Hmm.
it goes over my head that some people aren't even able to take these payments or recover the payments outside of payroll deduction. So they
Yeah.
can't take, a draft out of your bank. And with
Hmm.
this is me being a nerd now, guys. With overpayments, when we recover the funds, we can't take you under minimum wage. So if we
Yep.
overpaid you $1,000 and you say, "Well, take it back, all of it back," we can't. We all of it back because
That's
if it
right.
sends you up under minimum wage, now we're not following the code of honor, the payroll code of
That part.
honor.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
But now, if they say that they have enough wiggle room in their finances to do that, if there was an online payment option, they could go on themselves and pay them $1,000 back, and we wouldn't be dragging out a recovery for 3 months. So
True.
that's
Yep.
not
That'd
there.
be.
A spark for you guys. I
Yeah.
got a
Heck
lot of
yeah.
things going on. I got some ideas, but I am
Yep.
totally willing to hand it over to you.
Well,
And
to anybody
I
listening,
love
really, because
to
hey,
anybody
that's
listening, I
yeah.
love to see an idea bloom. I think that's why I enjoy the space. Even
Yep.
Yeah.
if I don't get all the credit for the idea, I know that I planted the seed in
That's
somebody
right. That's
and
right.
I can look at it and get fulfilled.
That's
Yep.
right.
Some
Yeah.
plant, some water. Yep.
That's right.
There we go.
No doubt. No
Yes.
doubt.
Rough.
Love it.
Love that.
And oh no, look, there's so much to talk about, but let's
Yes.
move through our agenda here. A good question for you is how has the industry been for you as a woman of not, there's two really, as a woman and as a woman of color?
Speak on that.
This is a tough one, and it gets real sticky because I've been in the industry for 10 years. So I would say that I have figured out corporate politics for women of color and for women of color. And it's not one dimensional, it's not one thing I can tell you to do, and that's going to keep you in the graces of the people because it's going to be somebody that doesn't like you or agree with you. But for the episode that you guys had with Tabitha, when she said, when you're honest, that keeps the people around you honest. And that's so true. When you put your boundaries up and when you're honest, the people who are negative or are trying to be used car salesmen, they're not going to want to be around you. And that's how you're going
That's
to
right.
know to read
That's a good one.
people.
Yep.
I have a setback, which turned out to be a little bit of an advantage. I have a parent with mental illness, so I got a lot of resources early on about how to interact with people who weren't stable and how to just engage and not so stay under the radar, but keep things neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that has helped me in this realm, staying positive. I love finding the silver lining. And if
No
I
doubt.
had to give anybody some advice who's a woman of color, my main thing would be is to never be inconvenienced. Never let somebody know that you're inconvenienced. That is your superpower. Just don't let it out. Even if you are inconvenienced, don't let people know that you're inconvenienced, and that's going to keep you strong in corporate politics.
That's a good one. I need to
Yeah.
apply that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us, Brittany. I appreciate that because it lets us not only realize that we can already tell from our interactions that people are important to you, but it lets us know that you're just not the payroll pro. You're still this human that actually cares about others. So thank you for putting that out there. Thank you for sharing that. And I really think it is vital for people to learn from your example and hearing that from you. So thank you again.
You're
Yeah. Word
welcome.
up. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, I'm like, because I have a lot of off the record stuff that I want to talk about with you. Let's go ahead. You want to move to this or that?
Yeah, let's move to this or that. And then I know Brittany said that she had a game that she wanted to play with
Oh,
us as
yeah.
well,
There we
which is
go.
Mm-hmm.
cool. So we're
Okay.
going to
Okay.
play our
Let's
game and
do
then we're
that.
going to play her game. All right.
That
So
works.
you want to start off with the first three? I finish it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
This
right.
or that. It's both, either, neither. Doesn't matter. These are little
Okay.
things that help folks get to know us beyond payroll. So first one is beach resort or cruise.
Oh, beach resort.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not a
Okay.
huge
Yes.
so
Uh,
beach resort. I grew up on
Oh, really?
and so I like the beach.
Okay.
okay.
Country life or city life?
I am a country girl, but I like to do my shopping in the city. So one of my hobbies, I like to fish and
Oh,
I like
country,
to
definitely.
sew and crochet.
Yeah,
So
you're a
I'm a
country
country
girl.
girl. I want some chickens and a goat
Yep.
possibly. So I'm gonna
Yep.
pick country.
No doubt. A great book or a great movie?
I like a great book that has been turned into a movie.
Okay. I like that
That
answer. I like that.
is good because I
Yeah.
like to see a movie and see how they've actually portrayed the book
Mm,
or dramatized the book.
Mm.
And the book because you really get to get in the headspace of the characters.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I like to know what they're thinking. I don't know if this is I need to go look it up, but the series Your Honor, I'm
Okay.
yes.
watching that right now. And I'm like, is this
Okay.
a book? Because I need to
Okay.
know about like this is
Yeah.
crazy. That series, if
Yeah.
anybody is listening, they haven't started watching it, watch it because it lets you know that once you tell a lie, you got to tell five, six, seven, eight
That's right.
hundred more lies.
Oh
That's
my
And
right.
gosh.
other people got to be in alignment with your lie.
Oh
It
my
is
That's right.
a
gosh.
wild time. Oh
It's a
my
great
mom has
show.
always told me don't lie because when you tell one lie, you got to keep lying. And so
That's right.
I try to be as honest as I can and then truthful in that moment. I done told you something wrong.
I done told you a story.
I done told you a story.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you for that. So I'm gonna finish these with the last three. Excel or Google Sheets.
Google Sheets.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
love
okay.
Google Sheets because Google Sheets tells your business. All right. And when you're on a shared drive, a lot of people like to say, I didn't delete that column and I didn't delete this row and
Yes.
the data, I
Yes.
didn't do this. But
Oh,
Google Sheet is
really?
going to tell
Yes.
you a history, a
Ooh, I didn't know that.
timestamp. And you
Ooh,
also can go back
audit
to
trail.
old data. Yeah, it's such a paper trail, and I love
Oh, I
that
did not know that.
about Google Sheets.
Hmm.
And it lets you interact in real time. You can comment on there.
I'll do
So
that
I'm a
part. Yeah.
Google girl through and through. Now we're in Excel, yes, because Google really doesn't like CSV files for whatever reason,
Thank you. Yeah.
and macros, but use it. I'll use
Yep.
Okay.
Excel for those two things, and then I'll come back to Google.
Interesting.
Nice.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Number 5. Social studies or science.
A little bit of both.
Okay. All right. And the last one is Disney or Universal Studios.
Universal Studios.
Nice.
Universal Studios. I like the whole space of it all. I'm not really. Disney is kind of glitz and glamour for me if you're going to compare theme parks. And I feel like Universal Studios is for the nerd or the alternative person.
Okay.
A little bit
Okay.
better.
Nice. I like that. All right. So what we're excited to see the game that you
Okay,
have
so
for
the
us.
game
What you got?
that I thought about, it needs to be one person. So who
Okay.
wants to take the hot seat?
I'll take it. Let's go.
Okay, so this game is going to be called Hello, I Have a Payroll Emergency.
Okay.
And you have 15 seconds to tell me how you would get this employee off the phone.
Oh dang! Thank God you took it.
Right. Put the clock up,
Oh,
edit
hold on.
it in.
Yep.
He
we
has
got the
15,
little timer. We got the little
15
timer up
second
here.
little timer. How would you get this employee off the phone? Okay. And this is the scenario. Employee goes in, changes their W-4, asks for an additional tax withholding for federal of $1,000. Their paycheck on a weekly basis is normally $800, and now their entire check has gone to the IRS. Start now.
So
Got-
the first thing I would do is say, especially if I didn't know the details of it, I would want to do the research behind it and say, hey, I'll call you back. Let me give some research and I'll call you back with the solution that we have for you.
Boom.
That would be,
I don't know if that's gonna get a disgruntled person off the phone, Walt. I don't know if that's gonna work.
That one's tough. Oh
That's a tough
man.
one because somebody's whole check is gone. We can't just go back to the IRS and say, we done made a mistake. Can we get that money back? That's not how it works. Once you've submitted your 940 forms, that money is gone. Okay, we're not getting it back. So that's a tough one. We actually had something like that happen in our department. So I thought it was fun, and you guys made me think about it. But if anybody else that's watching has had a crazy payroll interaction where somebody called in, send it to the guys. I want to know about it, and we'll use it on another show to ask somebody how would they handle this on the spot. I don't know if that would have got him off the phone. He probably would have called you back about 3 more times, but it was a good shot.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, you caught me off guard. I thought it was going to be a layup. You hit me with a haymaker. I was like, hey,
15 seconds.
15 seconds. That's a fun one, huh? How would you get them off the phone in 15 seconds? Because you really don't have time. Yeah.
You don't, but Walt answered it. Yeah, that's the right answer because you definitely can't. You got to do research. Hey, I promise to call you back by maybe add in the timeline. Like I'll call you back tomorrow at 12. But
even
then
when
it'll
you
give
research,
them some.
there's nothing you can do. You can't get them any money. There's no money value that you can really add because it's gone to the IRS. It was a tough space.
What was the question again? Because I wasn't on the hot seat. So.
Basically, all their funds they made a mistake on their W-4. They put an additional $1,000.
Oh,
and it took their entire net pay. Basically, went to federal taxes.
You know the option where you can add extra withholding. Usually people do $50 or $100, and so he had fat fingered, and instead of putting 100, put 1,000.
And his regular check gross is 800 or net 800.
Net 800. So after it all got done, he didn't have crumbs.
Oh, okay. So net 800. So he did satisfy his other deductions already, and it's usually a net 800. So that additional wiped this whole net out. Oof.
I don't know how they resolved it because we ended up escalating it. But I was just curious to see if you guys had a.
I've had experience. I've had experience with that because if you were to do an adjustment, you would have to. It would impact so many different levels of it. If depending on where the time period.
Can you void and reissue in a timely manner?
You could void and reissue, but if it's if the quarter already passed, if it has quarter,
that's what I'm saying. A timely,
a prior quarter adjustment. You have to do so many different things. You have to do an amended filing through your tax service and stuff like that. No, I don't. I've had so many experiences.
They just think, make it right, and they don't understand the levels and layers that the payroll department has to get help from other teams.
It's not as simple as just void and reissue or stuff like that. There's so many different levels that you have to go through. So many experiences.
Yeah, but in a timely manner, right? If it's right after check date or on check date, you could just void and reissue.
Yeah, you could do a DD
Mm-hmm.
reversal and just bring it back and try to
Right.
do it again.
Burst.
But Walt said, if you too long now, wait,
Yeah.
next week is a whole different story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
different
Yeah.
ball
you
game.
spent the money. Oh, it's a whole different story
We
now.
might have to
Yeah,
just give you
that's
a
a
gas
good
card
one.
and hope that you make it.
And for real, yes. I mean, because then my thought is, then it becomes how nice is your employer? Because you
Yeah,
know,
honestly.
I've had some employers that would just be like, Brian, just go ahead and pay them again. We'll figure it out. Just make sure they got money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that could be done in a few different ways. But ultimately, my point is, it ultimately costs the company money, not so much the employee. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a good one. Goodness gracious, that's a good one.
She got me, bro.
15 seconds on the hot spot. We call it hot spot or something like that.
That'd be
It's
a
a
great
payroll
see.
emergency.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
hotspot.
like that one.
I like that one a lot. We're
Hot
gonna
spot,
have to play
yeah.
that game.
Because
All
if
right, Brittany.
I'm gonna put the
All right.
guest on it though. We're gonna ask the guest.
Put gas on the hotspot.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
All
us on
right.
the hot spot. Brittany's been
Yeah.
excused this for this show.
Yeah.
I'm
Next
making
time.
my own rules here.
You just making up your own, coming on the show, creating segments. Come on now.
I think that's
I
the
love
perfect
it.
segue, though.
I do love it. Yes, it is. Now I
We
look at the safe talk.
this next piece before we let you go.
Okay.
Um, we have a segment of the show called Safe Talk, and so today's Safe Talk question is: do you think more payroll pros should strive to be more creative in the industry? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. Creativity is going to allow you to express yourself and have some form of outlet.
Yeah,
Payroll is stressful. It's a tough space. People are calloused over. So you need that creativity. Even with creating my game, I hope that while teams are playing the game, they could really show their authentic and organic self. And by that, the competitive people can be competitive. The cheerleaders can be cheerleaders. The spectators can watch and just enjoy people laughing and playing in the game. And so in that moment, you can be yourself and nobody's offended by it. Nobody's taking it as a jab or a cut. So you need the creativity and you need the fun in payroll because it makes you harsh.
yeah, but yeah. I totally agree with you, Brian. You want to go before I go, or
Um, no, I agree with Brittany. She said it great. Yeah, I think it definitely can. It's almost like wellness. It brings out some wellness part of it because
mm-hmm.
it's right. It makes you so black and white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Payroll makes there's not room for a lot of gray in payroll. Everything is black and white, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we had the conversation the other day about how our careers have made us very compliant. We're very
Yeah,
compliance minded. Every move we make is this
yeah,
allowed? Is it compliant? Is it legal? Is it ethical? Like, so we're always thinking about the rules of things, and
yeah,
there's not a lot of room for fun. And as we
Mm-hmm.
started off talking on before we started recording with Brittany, is this kind of one of the things that we wanted to bring to the podcast was just being ourselves, right? We
yeah,
weren't gonna dress for work and do the show dressed for work and be all and proper and black and white. This is a space where we can talk about payroll comfortably and just from our own mindset. And it's like Bart said, everybody has a different angle when they're talking about payroll. Like there's plenty of room, right? There's plenty of room for things. And Brittany, this is something you might want to think about as an author, as a creator, is
Mm-hmm.
bringing a book to the space because there's only two payroll authors out there in the world that have written payroll books that aren't text books.
yeah.
Bart
Mm.
Vanderstorm and Anita Latink, and Bart reminded me they're both from the Netherlands. So we need an American to write a
That
payroll
is an
book.
interesting thing. Just to go
Yeah.
off what you were saying about being yourself, I recently got another mentor, and he's a guy, and he's the one who really told me to get on LinkedIn. He was
Oh,
like,
heck yeah.
he said, Brittany, your
You
LinkedIn is
weren't?
so. he said it's so dry. He talks to me in the realest space and just keeps it so funky and lets me know what it needs to be.
Awesome.
And he was like, get on LinkedIn, because the passion that you have when I talk to you about stuff, like, other people need that and would enjoy that. And he was saying, I know sometimes everybody doesn't want to receive what you're saying in the workspace, in your regular team, but it's some other teams out here who would love to hear what you're saying. And so that was just eye-opening, because like you had said, Brian, it's being compliant, it's falling in. I've been a ghostwriter for so long where people have taken my ideas, people have plagiarized me, and I
Oh,
had to
really?
sit there with my hands folded and just be like,
Wow.
okay, I like that you plagiarized me, because you still have to come back to me. I'm the originator of the thought and the idea, and I still win. But
Yep.
he really told me, like, put your information out there
That's
and
right.
let them know that you came up with it. And so that's what
That's
I've been
right.
doing. I did it for
I love
my
that.
birthday was in May. I came to LinkedIn. I know a lot of people was like, where the heck did this lady come from? Just popped out a note out of thin
That's
air
what.
and
Yeah.
was schooling them. And so
Yep.
I've been here a while. I just been ghostwriting. So you've heard some content from me,
Wow.
but you might not know that it came from me.
Hey, man,
Wow.
I love that. I love that.
Brittany, that's
Yep.
big of you. That's big of you to do that, because what's meant for you is gonna be for you anyway.
That's right.
Nobody
That's
can
right.
stop that. So
That's right.
I give you big ups for being a big person and just letting that go through. And I can tell that you're gonna do big things
Thank
and
you so
and
much.
everything. And I would love to. I think I see that your little whiteboard back there says Georgia. Are you a part of the Georgia Atlanta payroll chapter?
No, I'm not in the local chapter. I'm actually out in the country. So
Oh, okay, okay.
I can't get to the local chapter as much,
Oh, okay.
but I do say that I'm my own chapter. I am the chapter.
Hey, you may need to start one out there wherever you're at,
Yes.
and even if I
The
don't know what the.
chapter. So
That's right.
hopefully I
That's
will
right.
go up to Atlanta. I got some stuff that I want to do and bring into fruition with LinkedIn. I'll be up
There you
there
go.
in the area pretty soon.
Hey, Walt is a new Georgia native resident now.
Yeah.
You guys
Just
can
Okay.
moved.
meet up.
Are you north or south of Atlanta?
I'm kind of like southeast of Atlanta, like in some place called Mableton. Yeah, kind of. Oh,
Okay.
southwest Mableton. Yeah,
All right.
it's
You
like
might
it's
be
close to
close.
Smyrna.
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 Smyrna. Yeah.
Hey,
I know where
don't
it
get mad at me,
is.
Georgia. Yeah, I just moved here.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Georgia. So I'm from
Oh, nice.
a small town called Kingsland. Kings Bay
Oh,
Naval
okay.
Base is located
Oh,
down there,
wow.
but
Okay.
it's really small. It's by Brunswick and Savannah is usually how people
Oh,
understand it.
Savannah. There you go. Yep.
Savannah, yeah.
But I could walk across this bridge and actually go to Florida. So it's right on the
Oh
state
my
line.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you could
Wow.
hop into Florida and,
Wow.
be in the
Okay. Yeah.
Sunshine State.
No doubt. All
Nice.
right.
Okay. Good. And
Yeah, we gotta.
that's cool. That's interesting because I think Brian's daughter is a May baby. I'm a
Yep.
May baby,
Yep.
and you're a May baby.
When's your
So
birthday? May what? What day?
May 15th.
Okay.
so, yeah.
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 Me
So we
and
got
my
that. Are you a
husband, we're
Gemini?
both. I'm a
No.
Taurus.
Oh, okay. The Gemini is later. Okay.
Mm.
Got you.
I'm a
So you and your
Taurus
husband.
and a Virgo.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
All
Good.
right.
Oh,
Thank
Awesome.
you
talking about
guys so
Geminis, and my
much.
Gemini baby popped up.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
The
Thanks for coming
payday
on.
shirt. So this will be for National Payroll Week 2024. If you
Oh,
guys
heck
want to
yeah.
know anything about it, you can message the
Yes.
guys here. I'll be doing pre-orders starting in July. And
Okay.
then
That's why you didn't give me the order information. I'm like, yo, I want to buy my shirt.
yeah, I'm gonna do it in July, and then I'll stop the orders, and I want everybody to get their shirts 2 weeks in advance. That way, I can iron out
Nice.
anything with shipping or just
Yes.
if something got lost. I want to be able to
Yes.
be spot on with it, and I have an Etsy shop, so I understand the
Okay.
logistics of it all.
Okay. Cool.
I wanted to make sure people had enough time to get their shirts, maybe even take some pictures and content, and
Heck
we
yeah.
can share them
Yes.
online. So
Yes.
message the guys here if you do want to get on that list for the pre-orders.
Awesome. Heck yeah. I love it. I love it. Thanks again for joining us, Brittany. What an amazing guest you've been. So much creativity. I love it. Did you answer the question, Walt, about creativity also? Because I get lost and she's making me go off on all these tangents. And I'm just
Yes,
thinking about things.
Because
I
I'm
didn't even know if
so
we
many different
inspiring
answered.
thoughts.
you.
Yes,
Yes,
I am
you
an
you
are.
are.
Yes.
inspiration.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if I did, but Brittany, and there you go.
Exactly.
Great show.
Great show. We love you. Thank you all. Till the next time, we love you. Peace.
Peace. Before we sign off, here are a couple quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok.
Thank you for being part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.